Was that studio the same one where Jungkook recorded 7? Recently, Taehyung uploaded a selfie with J-Hope, and what caught everyone's attention wasn't just the company, but the location where they were. Everything indicates that they were in the same recording studio where Jungkook worked on his music. And that wasn't the only curious thing. If you look closely at the photo, you can notice something written on Taehyung's phone, a simple but powerful "I miss you." It's not the first time something like this has appeared on his things, but this time the timing and location make the message even more powerful. Who does Taehyung miss? Many immediately think of Jungkook. It's been several days without any news from him, neither on social media nor in public activities. His fans miss him, and of course, Taehyung seems to too. The "I miss you" isn't written just anywhere, it's right on his phone case. We know that Taehyung and Jungkook use the same type of cases, even the same brand, as if they share small codes that only they understand. They are minimal details that reaffirm the connection between them. Nothing needs to be explained with words when their gestures speak for themselves. This new appearance of Taehyung with J-Hope in that studio rekindled suspicions. Not only because of the very visible "I miss you," but because of what it could be implying, a message for Jungkook. Perhaps Taehyung simply wanted to be in a place that holds emotional value, a place where Jungkook left part of his work, his art. A place that likely also holds important memories for both of them. Some people say Jungkook might not be in Los Angeles, and that's why we haven't seen him lately. But distance has never been a real obstacle between them. Regardless of whether they're in the same city or not, Taehyung always finds ways to show how much he cares for Jungkook. Sometimes it's with simple gestures, a hat, or being in a place they both shared. Other times it's just their presence, as if it speaks volumes without them even needing to speak. And returning to the hat Taehyung was wearing in that photo, there's another curious detail. A while back, a rumor circulated on social media that Jungkook, Taehyung, and J-Hope were spotted shopping in Los Angeles. There's no official confirmation of this, but what's interesting is that the hat Taehyung was wearing is very similar to the one in those leaked photos. It may not mean anything, or it may. And if we've learned anything over time, it's that when it comes to Taehyung and Jungkook, the signs are not coincidences. They're part of a story they've been building together. A story that, although sometimes kept silent, is still present in the small gestures, in the shared places, and in the messages hidden in plain sight. Let's talk about a recent image that generated a lot of questions among those who closely follow Taehyung. In one of his latest photos, he can be seen with what appears to be a small wound on his shoulder. At first glance, a reddish mark is noticeable, which caught the attention of many. Some people believe it could be a slight burn, while others say it's the result of intense training or practice. Although there's no official explanation, the truth is that in a clip, he can be heard mentioning that it hurts. Despite this, it doesn't seem to be anything serious. But it's always important to pay attention to these details because they show how Taehyung continues with his routines, even when something bothers him physically. He has always been very dedicated to what he does and usually gives his all to what he's passionate about. Probably, if it was a minor injury during a practice or workout, it won't be something that will stop him for long. As always, we hope to see him well soon and with that energy that characterizes him. Now, the interesting thing about all this doesn't end with the wound. If we combine that photo with the previous one where he appeared with J-Hope, we again notice a pattern that leads us to think of Jungkook. In that other image, we had already seen that the location appeared to be the same studio where Jungkook recorded 7. Furthermore, in that post, there was a clear detail that many didn't miss. Taehyung's phone case had "I miss you" written on it. That simple phrase might seem casual, but we know it isn't. Especially when it comes to him, the message seems to have a specific recipient, and most agree it's addressed to Jungkook. It's a simple but meaningful gesture, especially considering we haven't had any direct updates from Jungkook for some time now. No one knows for sure where he is right now or if he's in Los Angeles with the rest of the group. But even in his absence, his presence is still felt through these signs. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook has always been very close, and for quite some time now, many people have acknowledged that they share not only moments as bandmates, but also a more intimate connection. For those who have followed their story, it's no surprise that their gestures are directed toward each other. The prominently written phrase "I miss you" doesn't seem like a random message, and it was posted at a time when Jungkook's absence was already beginning to be felt. It's a message that not only Jungkook can understand, but also those who understand how they communicate with each other. Sometimes, without saying a direct word, they manage to say a lot. It's also important to address another topic that has been circulating online. There have been some rumors circulating about Jungkook, especially about the Taekooks. One of the most frequent rumors is that they claim Jungkook is going on private dates with Jimin. However, these comments usually come from people trying to distract or create false narratives to divert attention from the true connection that exists between Jungkook and Taehyung. The truth is, Jungkook hasn't updated any social media accounts lately. He hasn't posted any photos or appeared in any recent videos, which means there's no evidence of who he's with or what he's doing. Anything said without proof is simply that, a baseless rumor. That's why it's important not to be swayed by unsupported rumors, especially when those rumors seek to harm or confuse about personal relationships. Jungkook has proven on several occasions that his bond with Taehyung goes beyond fan service. Both Taehyung and Jungkook have grown over the years, not only as artists, but also as people. And with that growth, their relationship has also matured. They don't need to be in every post together to understand that they're still connected. There are constant signs, like that "I miss you," like the coincidences in locations, in clothes, in the small details that only the two of them share. So while we wait for Jungkook's next appearance, the best we can do is stay informed with real facts, ignore the baseless rumors, and acknowledge what's already evident. The closeness between Taehyung and Jungkook doesn't need much explanation. One of the most interesting things about Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship is that they often don't need to say anything to understand what's happening between them. It's not something you notice just once, but something that repeats itself over time. These are gestures that appear in different situations, shared moments that speak for themselves. What's most striking is how they behave when they're together. They automatically look for each other with their eyes, they sit next to each other as if it were the most natural place to be, and they have no problem touching or getting close without worrying about how it looks from the outside. They've repeated themselves at concerts, behind the scenes, on live broadcasts, in interviews, on trips, in private moments captured by fans, and in official recordings. These gestures are consistent. They occur without anyone forcing them, as part of a routine they already know by heart. When Jungkook leans toward Taehyung in the middle of an interview, or when Taehyung rests his head on Jungkook's shoulder mid-flight or while waiting, it doesn't seem like they're acting for a camera. It's simply how they are when they're together. That naturalness only appears when there's a real level of connection, when there's no need to pretend because what they feel is already part of their everyday life. And it's precisely that repetition that speaks the most. Because if it were just a one-time thing, perhaps it could be interpreted in many ways. But when they do it again and again, at different times and without being bound by a script, it becomes clear that there's something deeper going on. These gestures aren't manufactured. They're born of habit, comfort, and the trust they have as a couple. Over the past few months, it's been noticeable that Jungkook hasn't been as present on social media. He hasn't posted new photos or videos, nor has he appeared publicly as he used to. This absence has raised many questions. Some wonder where he is, others try to guess if he's working on something new or if he's simply decided to take a break. What is clear is that there is no official information about his whereabouts, and anything said without proof remains just that, a rumor. And amidst all this, an important point arises again. When a person doesn't update their social media, it's normal for stories to start to develop around their silence. But that doesn't mean they should be taken as true. False rumors have appeared attempting to associate Jungkook with other people, especially with members of the same group, in this case with Jimin. Some claim he's had private dates, but that's unsupported. There's no evidence, no posts, no videos, no trace. It's just people trying to confuse others, generating noise where it's not needed. It's important to know that not everything you see or say on social media is true. Rumors often stem from misunderstandings or outright attempts to divide fans. That's why it's always recommended to be careful and avoid sharing information that doesn't come from a reliable source. Meanwhile, even though Jungkook isn't publicly present, Taehyung has remained active. And what's interesting is that even in his recent posts, you can see that connection with Jungkook still exists. A clear example is when he showed off a phone case with the words "I miss you" written on it. It's not just any old message. The choice of that accessory, right at the moment when everyone was talking about Jungkook's absence, doesn't seem like a mere coincidence.